Hello! Today we are going to continue writing our stream overlay as a terminal application after we failed horribly yesterday. I say, last week, last Sunday. So this time we are going to start one level further down and write our own terminal UI tool, which will do the bare minimum. So what we are going to do is we are planning how we are going to make this application and then start from scratch. So my plan is as follows. 1 second. So I am planning that we are writing today our own terminal compositing tool, so we can make more complex UIs without having to care about inputs, because we won't have any inputs. So let's see. The idea is that we have essentially a canvas. Which has text, more or less. It is set up in rows and columns with a specific size. And each cell, if we look at them, has specific attributes like, a character, a background, and yeah, it also has, let's see, it also has a foreground. Come, dump tool, please let me do stuff. Foreground. And I think everything we do has its own canvas. That way, each thing that we want to display doesn't have to care about what's around it. And then we are going to take many of them, those, let's call them canvases, and combine them successively into a larger canvas that in the end will represent our whole terminal. Then we are essentially dumping this terminal out to our terminal output, essentially into an ANSI stream. And in the end, that's what we are trying to accomplish today. So let's start with the first thing. So let's make a new project. Let's make it a Rust app, because I always wanted to learn Rust. I know it's a bad idea to try two things out at once, but I think we shouldn't use macOS for streaming anymore, because it's the third time my desktop capture fails after I'm switching scenes. So let me just redo the tracking. Good that this is a test stream. Test streams don't have to work that well, don't they? So this time we need a flag again, because this stops me from installing rubbish for every project. Let's take the unstable branch from GitHub. That gives us a reasonable up-to-date version. We also want flake parts because that's easier to use. PKG, so flake parts we want to have, which we get from GitHub, from Hercules CI called flake parts. We want to get the recent commit on the main branch. Self flake parts. They want to have a copy of all inputs. And then I think it's mk flake. I think it is. Flake parts .lib.mk flake. They want the inputs, inherit inputs, and that's our module. Systems, we are on an x86 system on Linux. Wonderful. So pair system, we have a Nix PKG's input, and we care about a dev shell, the default one, something like that. Yes, it's a new avatar. Sorry that I didn't answer to you for a second. Let me put this onto a new window. Done. Yeah, it's a new avatar. It is also a multi-PC streaming setup. This should allow me to do a little bit more than usually. So I'm still in stream. So this time we need a Rust analyzer, and we need cargo, and we need a Rust compiler. This should and allow. This should hopefully work. It did not. Variable name mismatch, and it works instantly. One might think. And this is a new part of my checklist. Resize root fs or find another solution. This should instantly work. It does. Let's see. So it didn't like that. Why didn't this work? The flake parts, it worked so well. dir-env is a tool which allows, which essentially hooks into your shell, and whenever you change your directory, it runs specific stuff. So essentially, it allows you to automatically enter virtual environments in Python, or similar stuff. And on NixOS, there is this tooling that it automatically enters your main development shell. So essentially, you enter the directory, it installs everything for you according to this flake. And in the end, I can just move into it, cd into this directory, and I can just work as I normally would on projects. So I always have the dependency installed. I don't have to care anymore that there's an npm. It uses Nix shell under the hood. So there's a use Nix, which uses Nix shell under the hood. Use Flake uses these dev shells. Exactly. So the next point we are going to do is trying to get this to run. For some reason it doesn't like Nix pkgs. It does not, because I forgot these 3 dots. Wonderful. Per system does not exist. Remaining module per system dev shell. Zzz, it must be an S. This should work. It does. Wonderful. And now, as you can see, it downloads Rust. It downloads Rust Analyzer. And I can just go back and wait and chat with you, you know? While it makes sure that all these packages are available to me in the version I used them when I last went into this directory. So it currently downloads like 177 megabytes, shouldn't be that much. Yeah. Some people saying well, it's not Discord. It's not Discord. Some people say NixOS uses a lot of disk space. Well, you can have a garbage collector that automatically collects the stuff after you're done using it after a while. Then it doesn't need that much, but in reality, if you give it like 50-60 gigabytes, that's around that what Windows also likes to have. It's more than enough to work with it. So back to this thing. We have Rust. We can do cargo init. So, and with that, we can also now get into cargo.nix later, but let's skip it for now. We have a main.rs. Why isn't this highlighted? 3 sitter update. TS update. Okay, it wants to update stuff again. That should restore it. Takes 2 seconds, or 3, or 4, or 5. Yeah. Wonderful, it's done. Let's restart Vim. Wonderful, we have but I want to call my directory Rust app. Cargo, what did you say? Rust app. Cool. Cargo run. This should run our Hello World app, and it does. So the first thing is we are trying to get some terminal codes in here. We are going to... What features does cargo have? Cargo add. Wonderful. So now we are just gonna be searching for... Yeah... let me search for Chrome for a second. Here is Chrome. So here is my Chrome. We search for holy shit, this is a shit site. How did I get here? This is Chromium, just a normal Chromium with a fresh profile. So let's see, ANSI term it's called. Okay, Rust ANSI term. ANSI term underscore term. It always does update the creates.io index. Yeah. It takes a while. Will be done soon. So what can you do? Expanded colors, colored strings. Cool. It can do colors. We need to find something for tput later, but I think that's enough for now. Features, derive Seride style. Seride, yeah, we don't want to. Downscaling 4K to 1080p looks painful when reading small text. Is it really that small? I have everything set to 200%. I mean, yeah, the top part, but there's nothing important on. Yeah, the top part, you can just ignore it, to be honest. Let me just help you ignoring it, if it's that hard for you. Let me guess, it kills itself? No, it does not, so. Problem solved. Now you shouldn't see almost solved. Done. Problem solved. Now you can't see this text anymore. Should look better now. So, yeah. Let's see. Style color. So, we want to define a target. This thing essentially defines how to output stuff. So, trade terminal. We can have many types of terminal. One of them could be an xterm terminal and stuff. And what we want to have, what we want to know now is or what we want to do now is we want to write to it, and it should be a string. Let me see how Rust works again. I wrote Rust one time, but yeah. Learn X and Y minutes. So I'd like to have Rust. How do types work? Okay. Which is a string and it's a text. Let's add it to the main.rs. Yeah, better. So we of course want to write to the terminal, we want to clear the terminal, and we want to move. So x is y16, y is y16, and this will allow me to, I have to use this as an identifier. Okay, move cursor. This should make this problem go away. And it wants snake case. I think like that. So we essentially have these three primitives. We can move the cursor somewhere. We will need this later to optimize it. So let's comment it out because we don't need it. We want to clear the terminal and we want to write stuff to it. That's essentially what we need. So what we might want to have later is a function which gives us the current size. How is this given in a function? I'm sure I will find out soon. That's okay, like this. So this is how we define a size. So as I explained before, I am going to first do a so-called canvas. Every thing that prints out something is going to create a canvas, and these get then composited on top of each other to build the final image. So we want to have a canvas. It wants to be included in the module tree, mod canvas. We can do this. So we have a struct canvas and it contains cells. So use std vec we want to have a vect, and these are the cells which are a vec of a cell. What is a cell? That's a wonderful question. That's a struct. It contains a car. So I want a single U8. Is this U8 enough? I don't think so. Exactly. I want to have a car. It's in the std car. Use std car. Which means it has a car. And it has a foreground, a background, which is an option. It's an option of string and expected comma. Ah, okay, you need to do comma. And foreground is again an option of string. And the idea will be that you can combine cells. So Rust operator. Do we have an operator? Yeah. I think the best thing is an AND. So you need to use stdops, and we implement impl ops bit end on cell for cell. And I need to implement, say the output is again a cell. And I want to bit end exactly like that. We know we have 3 rules. If the self is the top part, or better said, it's the bottom part. And we have a top part, which is the right hand side. And these are getting composited together in this function. So if we have a transparent background of the top part, it takes the background of the bottom part, and this way we can combine them. So essentially, whatever is defined in the top part is being used, otherwise it will take the bottom part. So we want to have a cell. Character is always the character of the right hand side. The bottom part is no, not the bottom, it's the background. Why did it offer me bottom? Who cares? So the background is, let's see, let's make a function composite color, ANSI color, which takes 2 option strings and returns an option string. So a bottom top is also an option of string and returns an option of string. So, and if the top part top str is sum top str equals top, you know we want to return sum top str. Same if we have something on the bottom side, bot str, and otherwise we have none. That way I can now go in composite ANSI color self punct background other RHS dot background, not character, background. We can do the same with foreground now. And we now can just close this. But why don't you like it? Missing fields. Why do you have missing fields? Why do you want an expression? So let's see. We have a struct. Define it like this, you define it like this. Why do you want an expression? Toggle. I see. Done. It wants it to be snake case. Yeah, and the avatar killed itself again because macOS knows always better and just says don't do it anymore, just crash. Settings, reset character tracking, reload. I will never. So this should have fixed it. So, tracking on. Let me guess, yeah, it tracks again on the screen capture, because of course it does. So, should work better now. And why I use a small again. Wonderful. Remind me again that macOS is shit later, okay? So, now you should be able to see something. Yeah, remind me. Yeah, the problem is that macOS is just shit. And the code view? I mean, I moved them around. So, yeah. Let me make my avatars a bit smaller. Like that. Better. So, let's continue. We have our cell. And we can combine both cells now. Color, maybe it likes this name. Composite ANSI color, composite ANSI color. Done. So, we also know that we want to composite two canvases. So essentially a canvas is just a list of lines with cells in them, and we want to composite them. So we make a function composite, which takes another canvas, which comes on top, and two positions. So X is I16, Y is an I16, and actually it can be U16. Like this. So this returns another canvas. And before we can return another canvas, so return canvas. Cells is let's just make an empty vec for now. This should be enough. We want to have its size, which is U16, U16. Very easy to calculate. We want to borrow self dot cells dot len. So let height is a U16. This should be enough. And if height is 0, we just return 0, 0. Very easy. Maybe missing an else class. So first width, self dot cells dot first dot unwrap dot len height. So, and this dot into to forcefully cast them. 2.unwrap. This must be a function call. We want to try into it and we want to unwrap it. Because I don't think anyone will have more than 65,000 long or terminal size in either direction, so I think this will be enough. But more than 200 easily. Just give me an 8K monitor and yeah, 1080p monitor and you will have more than 256 characters. Maybe not 1080p, maybe 4K, but that's more common than 65,000 characters. So essentially we have this. So essentially we want to unwrap this. Match the tuple. So self width, self height. We want to have it on the top, size 2. I think this is okay like that. We want to borrow this canvas. We don't want to change it. We create a new canvas. So this is top width and this is top height. And we want a canvas and not self. We want to have this. And bit end should also just borrow, which it doesn't accept. Interesting. We need to look at this bit end again later, if this is the right solution. Maybe we will do a trade. Compositable, which has a function composite. Takes self, takes top, which is another instance of self. XU6, yeah, doesn't necessarily need to have X and Y U16. Yeah. Impl compositable. Like that. Composite asset. And top is this. And we do this and it returns a self. Done. Which is then called top, top, top. And we actually can just borrow them. We don't want to change them. Actually, like this. So compositing now becomes far easier because we just return a canvas. So let width is the longer of both. So rust max, does it have a rust max function? Yeah, it does. We don't need ops anymore, but we need cd.cmp, which is the max of self width and top width. Const unstable. We want max like that. We want the same for height. Now we know the new size of the new canvas. Let us generate the cells. So let us implement default for cell. Impl default for cell, which returns a new cell with an empty character. Background is none, foreground is none, done. Empty car literal is not okay, like that. Done. This step is done too. Now we have a default for cell, which means we can now just go in and pre-allocate everything. So let new cells is a vec, and we want a new vec of the size height. Does this work? Maybe into it. Should be okay too. Yeah, it is, because it's larger. So rust range. So we can just do this, and how do we iterate over it? Okay. Let's make something like this. For x in 0 until height. For y in 0 until width. Like this. Actually, let's make a new function which returns a canvas. I think this is easier to work with. Width is a U16, height is a U16. Done. This is a new vector. Let's push it. Let's give this one how can I set its capacity? Like this. Rust vec with capacity. How do I give it a capacity? Capacity. I know how long this thing is going to go. Ah, okay, I see. With capacity. With capacity. Width. And I assume it needs to be this. And like this. And we need to push the new vec into new cells. So cells dot push new vec. Let's do it at the end. And now we can just go and create a new canvas with our newly owned new cells. Easy. Which means we can just make a new canvas, which is a canvas new with height, return result. Let's not close this thing accidentally while saving. So we have a new canvas. So, next step. Now that we have a new canvas, it wants to borrow it. Is mutable. Ah, yeah, makes sense. Let's yeah, it does want to move this, so we need to clone this. Trouble toggle. Should make a hotkey or so. No, I can't just go in and borrow them. No, it all. Associated function new is never used. What? Why are you never used? You're clearly used. So let's see. This makes me an empty thing. This makes me an empty thing. I see. This is why it's never used, because we never need it. So we want to get the cell at the point fn get cell at point. I think this is what we want. Okay. Let me see if I can do this. Like this. Like this. Let's see. No. That's not enough. This should be more than enough now. It isn't enough because of a simple reason. Cut. Done. I think this was too much. So. Better. This shouldn't clip my hair anymore. Yeah, far better. So, I want to do it as XU16, YU16. And this should me return either none, or it should me return me a cell. So f x large, so I want to have my size, so let width height equals self dot size. I need to define self, which I only borrowing. X larger than equals width. Then I return none because there is nothing. If y larger than height, I also want to return none. And otherwise, I want to get the thing at y. And since I can essentially use question mark x, question mark, and done. It's required by a bound of the cell. Okay, into type annotations cannot infer. Why can't they infer? Wait, this is already a... This is t, which is t, x question mark. This returns an option. Yeah, it should be y dot into this should be a x dot into. So why can't you infer this? Why can't you infer the type here on this right side? Since this is a vec of a cell, it should know that this is a vec. So how do I tell it what type it is supposed to be? Okay. Where was I? You know, you can't program without Stack Overflow, you know? Without Stack Overflow, programming is impossible. Let's see. Return line dot get x dot into question mark, and it's a sum. Turbofish. So let top cell, bottom cell is get cell at point x, y. Now that we are using it, we do not need underscores. Unwrap or default. We want the same for the top cell. And we know that, and we want to set cell at point. We need to borrow mutably at this point. We want to set the cell. And we want to own this cell. We want the x is a u16, y u16. And we don't return anything. And at that point, we just cells get mutable for u size. We want to have a result. It might not work. And it is empty, and it either returns... I think I hate about Rust is its error messages, so they are very, very not easy to use. So they should really do something about it, that using Rust errors is essentially very easy to create new Rust errors. So cell not found. We want to derive it. Debug clone. We also know that it has an u16, x u16, y u16. Since we also usually want something like that, we also need to implement this. We need to do this, and cell not found. Failed to find cell at x_self.y. Done. And this might return a cell not found. I am sure it will return additional errors. But, well, into let's borrowed mutable line equals so if or unwrap or error. Is there something like that? option. Let's make an option void sum. We can deal with this later. Self.cells. X equals cell. And we want it to be a result. So how do we make error so let's see. Is error, yeah, but it is so we want to unwrap this into possibly an error. Rust convert to results. So okay, this is good. Cell not found. X, X, Y, Y, done. Can you just do this? Awesome. Easy. So how so vector rust replace at how to get to replace an element. Is this necessary? It apparently is. Again, the cell can't be indexed into use size. Try remove these generics. Aha. U16 convert rust vec index. So how do I do this? User is from, okay. User is from X. It accepts this. Awesome. Now if length larger than equals X, return error cell not found X, Y. Done. Let's do this, and you need to have be in a block and actually X larger than. size from X. So we can now set the cell at point, so result.set cell at point, and we want to bot cell dot now we want to composite this with this. So, and actually yx is indefinable rate default. Empty cell, equals, we need to make this mutable while we edit cell default or cell should be good enough. Why can't you borrow line is mutable? Can't move out of a mutable reference. Why sf.cells.len cells u size from y why do you want to move it? I want to have this. I want to into found mutable reference. XY. What's so hard about this? Type annotations needed cannot satisfy equals canvas cell. So weg get mut is an object depending on the type of index. Yeah, let's see. since I'm already checking, I can just do this. So borrow mutable. So how do I borrow mutably? Excel. This require, of course it does. Why can't you satisfy this again? Because I want to learn Rust. Okay? So if I use it for nothing, I will never learn Rust. So okay, or returns and okay. Either it's a okay option. Yeah. Why do I need to define type annotations? Actually, why does it never seem to be able to type annotate anything in VEC? To infer any type. Yeah, it tells me it's a VEC of a cell. So tell me why you're not working, because I want to add a function called write. So I can implement it as a fake terminal. Well, not exactly, but who cares? Still a write function. I want to add one. So I have this get mute, and this refuses to ever infer its type. So let's see. Hold on a second. So yeah, it should work like that. So how do I get... Actually, let's implement, let's derive clone on this. Derive clone on cell. I think this is faster. And with that I can also clone user fill vector with cell default width.into. And since I can just do this, I can just go in and make this another vector again with the size height.into. So here this thing is too much. Done, and I can just put this to the rest. Now it does. So far quicker, far easier to understand. One line, let's split it into 2 or 3. Far easier, probably faster. So size from y cannot be indexed by why do you expect size? Cool, now it accepts it, and now I only have warnings. This result must be an R variant. Since we know that this can't happen, we know it can't explode, it should panic instead. So nice. Ignore result. Rust. You know, there's a simple solution. Fn ignore ut. Oh, the warning went away. Okay. Wonderful. So we can composite stuff onto different points. And actually, let's write the same again, but composite add to improve speed, or not speed, but you know, xu16, yu16, ty, tx. So ryrx, that's so, and this is tx is ry plus x. Let tx is rx x plus x is ry plus y, and exactly, and the top cell is txty, and we want to set the cell at this point. Is this what we want? We actually do not. And this is a I6, I32, I32. Exactly, I thought this would happen, so does raster have a ternary? Ternary. Okay, if it's an expression, it makes it easy. If x kleiner x, no, x kleiner ax and y, in this case we want empty cell, else we want this, and we want y minus y, and we can be sure that this is never smaller. Now let's make it readable far easier. Done. This should allow us to do it here. So 4 is smaller than 6. Yeah, actually we want 6 is smaller than 4. Y is smaller y. Let's try it out. If we want to have it 4, we are at 3. Yeah, exactly. So otherwise 5 larger 4. Yeah, okay. And this one is the result of it at top 0, 0. Done. Easy. And now let's write a function called actually let's do two functions. We want to have a function called fill, which takes a mutable self, and a cell which can in this case also be a cell, returns nothing. And actually fill should be far easier if we just do this. Width is u16, height is u16, and cell is a cell, self, and we return we need to, yeah, okay. So like this. And this can then just be with filled. And now we can just width, height, cell, default. Done. Consider the associated function self with filled. Yo, like that. Consider borrowing here. Can do. New is never used. Yeah. And now we want to define a function draw. Draw line. So we have a y, which is a u16, and it returns a string. So since we don't want a string builder Rust, is there a way to concatenate strings in Rust? Okay. Results equals vec. Vec new join. This is gonna be this, and now we want to have a line for cell just iterate over vec for in for cell in line, something like this. Yes, this needs a self. We want to unwrap. Wonderful. We want to push our result. So let's give it a toString. So we have a trait called toString. Wonderful. Let's use it. We also know that we need the previous one, so we can't give the, so let previous cell be a cell. Let's make an option cell, which is none by default if previous cell sum different previous cell and let's implement a function on cell impl cell, which returns another cell. So essentially we want to differentiate it. So fn diff self other is also a cell, which returns a cell. We always know that character is always self.character because we want to show a set of characters. It never stops of doing this. So background. Let's make a function diff ANSI color. Bref is an LHS is an option string. RHS is an option string. option string. We know that if both of them are none, let none equals LHS. If let none equals RHS, we can be sure that we can return none. Otherwise, we can be sure that we can return RHS. Otherwise, we can be sure we can return LHS, but only if this is given. So we need to copy paste this. We know we can return LHS, and we need to clone it. So this is the hard part. If LHS dot unwrap, this is also a case, in which case we can return nothing. Otherwise, we can return RHS.clone. So LHS is pref, RHS is next. So diff uncolor self.background. No, we are okay. Other.background self.background. The same we want to do with foreground. Done. And actually we want to do this. So if we do pref.diff, ja, passt. Where's our draw line? Here. If actually we can always return a string from composite ANSI color, from diff ANSI color, but we don't always want to. So result cell is previous cell dot diff cell, not diff dot diff cell, and this return this necessitates that other must be the returning character. And in any case, we know that this is always a cell. Let mod target cell equals cell. Target cell equals previous cell diff target cell, and I assume that we need to. Why do we need to unwrap? Why does it think we need to unwrap? It does not. Okay. The first thing we want to output is the foreground, then the background. So if let some color equals diff target cell dot background result dot push color point clone. We want to do this with foreground. And actually this function is, I think, bullshit. If both are the same, it's none. Otherwise, what do you want to do? Otherwise, restart the tracking. And again, it's fucking Mac OS screen capture that stopped working. Followed by this thing. Yeah, whoever made macOS, shame on you. Because you crash every 30 minutes. My actual Linux system doesn't do so. And it actually managed to crash again. And it listens on my screen capture again. Isn't this awesome? So, note to self, next time use Asahi Linux, because this is apparently better. I do not know what you mean by that. I see. So, let's see. Let me guess. Now. So, I think this is bullshit. Both are the same. We return none. Obvious. If they are different, we return the one that has actual content, the new one. So we always want to return RHS in case exactly, and this is also none. We always want to return none. Yeah, I call bullshit on that. So, if both sides are equal, return none. Yeah, passed. We always want to return RHS, essentially. Oh. Why did you reset this again? Is there any reason to do this other than trolling me? Is there any reason to do this? The screen capture is better now, I hope. But the shit thing is regularly messing up my settings. Like, every time I change something, it is messing up my settings. Whatever I do, it's messing it up. Can you, like, not regularly stop your screen capture during a live broadcast? Can you, like, not stop your screen capture during a live broadcast and not stop your screen capture during a live broadcast? This would be nice if you did that. Like, these three things. I'm in the middle of a broadcast. I will be stopping soon because I'm trying to hit 2 hours per stream. But every time I'm using a fucking capture card. The screen capture you're seeing is from a fucking capture card. Capture cards for 4K, you virtually can't get one. It's a cheap one. You need to know most cheap ones are good enough if you want to just do coding. It's literally the operating system which is regularly changing random settings because it thinks it knows better. Like, you see that the tracking does not fail in the browser side. It's the fucking macOS screen capture which screen captures my head is failing randomly. And whenever I change something, it fucks up with the for some reason with the setting of the capture card. And this is the thing that's messing up. That's the problem. So essentially, what it does is, yeah, it changes settings however it wants, and there are many things to be said about being able to having multiple applications use the same webcam, which is cool that macOS allows it, but at the same time, every application can fuck up each other's webcam settings, which is essentially what's happened here. If I restart the browser tab, it automatically reconfigures the screen capture to be in a 4:3 format, which and the result it looks shit. Because OBS and my I have two webcams and it always uses the wrong one. Essentially. So back to this point. We always want to return the right hand side, except if there are no changes. This, for example, means we want to return the right hand side. I can't because one webcam is the screen capture, the other one is my face. So I can't turn them off because I need them both for the stream. Like literally one of them is the capture card, which shows up as a webcam on my system. That's what's happening. Yeah, pain. Absolute pain. I know. And I don't like it. Like, and the most painful thing is that the macOS screen capture, which captures my model, is regularly crashing. Like, for no apparent reason. I can't minimize it because it then says, yeah, you're not capturing. You are not looking at this window, so we don't need to render anything. This is another thing that happens, but I think the same happens on Windows, and I'm still amazed that it actually works on Linux. And I can see, and this is impressive part, I think, is that I can see that it only does so if this window is being captured, which is the most impressive part. That on Linux, my compositor essentially tells the system, yeah, please render yourself, even if it's minimized, and only if the window capture is enabled on this window. This is really cool. Other operating systems should copy it. Should allow it to be used, this feature. So let's continue. We always want to have the right hand side, except if they differ. So we can now background foreground, and now we can result.push target cell point character.clone. Actually, we wanted to string. This automatically clones it. Done. consider option expect. So we want diff cell. Actually, this way we know. Consider borrowing here. Let's borrow. Consider exploding, because suddenly it can receive many more errors. So cell default. Let's borrow it. Done. This is exactly, so I don't need this thing anymore. Yeah, explode immediately. So we don't need this thing anymore. Diff cell doesn't. Since previous cell is always something useful, we don't need this. Let mut target cell is this thing. Can't find value target cell. Of course it can't. Now we only need cell. Since this doesn't have to be mutable anymore, this isn't a problem anymore. Let result be mutable. This is correct. Done. Success. And now let's make a function draw, which returns a string. And we want to have 0 for line in self.cells. Let mut result is a new vector. Result.push line. I want to have it as a line. Result.push. I want to push self.draw line. And I want to do be between 0 and line. Draw line line. Can I do it U16? Tell it to be U16. No, I can't. Try into dot unwrap. So return result join done. Cool. So what we are going to do is we want to move these two functions a little bit down. And I think I don't want to move out of I want to check string equality. Found string. Why do you want a block? This one wants to be borrowed. So let me get this straight. I can't. Okay. Let's redo it. If let sum ss equals lhs, otherwise we know that one of them is if let sum arhss equals rhs. This can just be done, I see. ss dot eq rhss return none, else return s dot clone. Otherwise, we need to clean this function up later. This. In any case, if LHS is empty, we can just return rhs.clone, which has a nice side effect. We can just do this and then get rid of all else clauses. I asked once, does this work by now? Because if it does, it's awesome. It does not. Sad. Yeah, I asked once if you can do it nicer, but apparently you can't. So this is what we want to do. Now it works more or less. We need to move the draw command. Wonderful. And now we do our first outputs, and then I'm going to call it a day if it works. If not, I'm gonna add half an hour and see if I need to fix something. So we go to our main.rs and we want to have this. And we want to have a canvas. Let's see if is a canvas. We want a canvas. You say 1010. It's private. Okay, that's bad. We want to have it public. We want to have it public. We want to have this public, and this should be public too. And it would be nice if this were public. And I want to have this public. And maybe this should be public. Everything should be public. So now it says it doesn't want to leak a private type, which is okay. Me neither, but we can just make it public. These are public implementations. These can be public. And the trade compositable can be public too, I hope. Can. Wonderful. So print cv.draw. Done. Cargo run. Cool. With fields. We want a new canvas cell. Vector is background, foreground, did I mean what? I see. I did not. Move the cell here. So let's see if it likes. Okay, it wants to be borrowed. Now I should see a lot of R's. I see a lot of error because this has changed. So cell default. Let's make a simplified constructor for it. Pub fn for the cell. We want to have a cell pub fn with car. Character is a car. Returns a self, which is a cell. Character is background is none. Foreground is also none. And now I can just use it here. Simpler this time. Car with... Are you trolling me? Cell canvas cell with car. And it needs to be this. Done. Cool! 10 lines of R's. Doesn't it look nice? Now with a little bit of color. So pub fn with background, which returns a self. Color is a option string, which returns a new car. Cell character background is color. Foreground is self dot clone. With foreground, which works exactly the other way around. Background dot clone, and this is color. And now I can just go in with background, ANSI term, color red, no, my dad is currently sick. And that's what you heard. Yeah. So, let's see. Let's continue. Rust ANSI term. How can you make? How can I make it a string? I see. I need a function paint. I see. Okay, let me implement a function that takes a style from ANSI term with style. Self style, let's borrow it. Let's make a private function here, fn style to string. Somehow this has to be possible. Color is option ANSI term color, which returns an option string. So let's see, is there a GitHub version of it? Is there a GitHub version of it? So, style. New default style, bold, and so on. How do I make this into a string? With any right. I see, but I don't give a fuck. I just want to have it as a string, as an ANSI string. Is it possible to set it as an ANSI string? ANSI dot normal. So if let sum call equals color, call dot normal dot come on. Please be publicly usable. Okay. String writer equals. It's a struct. It contains a vec. Builder is a vec string. Impl ANSI term n. Okay, or we don't. Return some format col.normal. Else return else none. So like this, and now I can just say cell character background style.background foreground is style.foreground, and since it probably doesn't want that, style to string style to string. Okay. With jar. Are you trolling me? So with style term color so let's define a style is ANSI term and how can I set it as a background? Let me guess you can't. Okay. We will figure something out. With style. Let's borrow it. Done. It compiles. Okay, it's not red. Why is it not red? Why is it not red? Let's make clone implement debug and see what happens. So in draw line. Print ln cell. Okay, it essentially shows me something and then, oh god. Nice what? Nice design? What do you mean? What do you mean by nice design? Never mind. So, let's see. Now that I know the problem, I know exactly what's going on. I have the function paint. How do I do it without the function paint? What does the function paint do? What does paint do? Display paint. Must use paint. ANSI generic string, and if you display it, it does this. But you can give it a prefix. Cool. Let's try using prefix. So here we want to use normal fix. We don't need to use format anymore. And prefix, let me guess, is not public, so you can't use it. How many people want to guess? You need to convert it to a string. Can do. Wonderful. Now let's run. It's red! Yay! So, yeah, now you can make it red. Hype! Yes, let's set a let's set a background. Yeah. But I think we can keep this. And we're going to try additional things next week. Yeah, so we managed to make a solid fill of any text we want. Hype. I just only want to know if backgrounds are a thing now. How do I set backgrounds? Let me guess, they don't explain. So how do I set backgrounds? Dot on. ANSI term color white. I don't think this worked for some reason. Let's set it to blue. Still red. Why is that? Nein. I need to check here. So print line. I want the debug output of cell. These are the same. Oh God. FG style to string. BG style to string. Style new. C term style new on color on col dot prefix dot to string. So, and now we need both functions. So bg fg style to string. Done. It is blue now, as you can obviously see. So we can now set it to white, and we can remove this print line here, and we can make it a little bit more palatable with making it white. It is white now. And we can now just go in. Yeah, let's say it's enough for now. Tomorrow we're testing compositing. No, not tomorrow, but next week we are going to test compositing. And then we are going to start our first few animations, something like that. So, I'm going to end the stream now. I hope you liked it. And yeah, bye.